Hey, welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I still don't know. However, someone who is considerably more YouTube famous than myself is Roxanne from Metamorphosis Rox. And she started a tag called the Spoonie Tag. So this really interested me. I've seen that she's done it, and I've seen another couple of people have done it as well. I will tag Rox's channel and her original film in the description box, along with obviously the ladies from the Beauty YouTuber Growth Group. And once you've watched my videos, it'd be awesome if you could pop over and watch one of theirs. But I've got a list here of questions that Roxy asked, so I am going to work my way through them. If you're not sure what a spoonie is, it was a way of explaining pain levels and how it impacts on our life. Effectively, if I were to give you, say, 20 spoons for the day, that's the amount of energy you have. So getting out of bed and coming down the stairs, 1 spoon. That leaves you 19. Getting into the shower, showering your body, 2 spoons. That leaves you 17. But if you need to wash your hair as well, that's 2 spoons as well, because you've got to lift your hands up. So that's another 2. So you're already down to 15. You've already used a quarter of your spoons for the day. And you haven't even got dressed. And getting dressed, well, that takes a spoon as well. So that's another one. So now you're down to 14 spoons for the rest of the day. So you can imagine, putting on makeup, for example, blending eyeshadow, pouncing a beauty blender in to blend your foundation in, for example. It can take sometimes 1 spoon, usually 2 spoons, to do a full face of makeup. And then you've got to do your hair. And then you've got to get shoes on if you intend to leave the house. And then you've got to leave the house, and then if you've got to drive, well, that's more spoons again. It's a really good, once you've run out of spoons, that's it, you've got no more energy. You can't, that's it. That's your day finished. So, if I can find the original spoon theory, which describes it so much better than I do, from the person who originally started the spoonie movement, I will link that down in the description as well. So, first question, have you been officially diagnosed? Yes, I have. I've got osteoarthritis through 3/4 of my spine, from the middle of my shoulder blades down to my coccyx. I have sciatica down my right hand side. I have alodnia, which is overly sensitive skin, so the slightest little touch anywhere on my skin really hurts. It's like, imagine sunburn plus gravel rash, and then someone doing this would be like running a cheese grater up your arm. That's me on an average day. On a really bad day, just having the shower set on the lightest setting, the sort of the almost like a mist setting, just the water touching my skin hurts. Putting clothes on, having anything touching my skin hurts. And I've also got fibromyalgia, which was my most recent diagnosis. And as a side effect of that, I get panic attacks. I've gone from someone who could stand in front of a room of 500 people and give a presentation to someone who has a panic attack before leaving the house to go to a friend's house. And obviously I've got depression relating to the chronic pain. I've not been diagnosed with chronic pain syndrome, but I'm in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I've probably got that as well. It's just my GP's never actually told me that I've got it. Next question, how long have you lived with this condition? I first started getting back problems in 2004. It wasn't really until 2008 that it really began to impact my life. Prior to that, strong painkillers that I could still drive on kept me going. I could still go into work, etc. 2008, I really started to notice it was impacting things that I could and couldn't do. I could no longer go out and dig the garden for 3 hours. Silly little things like that. Ironing, I had to start sitting down to do the ironing, which is very bizarre. I always used to blitz the house on a Saturday, and now the house was getting cleaned on a Saturday and a Sunday because I couldn't get it all done in one day. 2011 was when my osteoarthritis got to the level that it was classed as disabling, because I could no longer walk very far at all. I couldn't stand for very long. I had to use a stick to move around with outside of the house. My house is small enough that I can just grab furniture to help myself through the different rooms, etc. To get up the stairs of an evening, I was actually crawling up on my hands and knees, and there were 13 stairs in my staircase, and on a good day it was taking me a quarter of an hour to get upstairs. On a bad day it can take me 3/4 of an hour to get up those stairs. The sciatica came on, I think it was just before I'd got married, so it must have been 2013 that started. The fibromyalgia was triggered. I've also got IBS as well, but I've had that for over a decade. So, but I know that IBS can be a side effect of fibromyalgia as well. So whether the IBS was the forerunner of the fibromyalgia, I don't know, but I don't think so, because when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, the GP said to me, in the preceding 6 months, had I had any particular stresses or strains or a car accident or something traumatising in the preceding 6 months, because apparently that can trigger fibro. And my husband and I had been trying for a baby and nothing was happening. And my monthly wasn't just a week long, it was 11 months long, every single day, very heavily. So obviously I had to go for all kind of tests and stuff, because at one point I thought I might have had cancer. That's great to hear when you just got married. And they did a hydroscopy biopsy, which is basically where they inflate the womb with water, hence the hydroscopy, and they use like clippers to cut away some of the lining of the womb to send it for testing. And they were going to give me a local anaesthetic and a sedative to help keep me calm during the procedure. They usually use general anaesthetic on people, but because I was weighing considerably more back then and because of my panic attacks, etc., they didn't want to use a general anaesthetic on me unless they absolutely had to. So they said, we'll give you a local anaesthetic and we'll give you a sedative so that you can easier handle what's going on. Yeah, they put the line in my hand and they flushed it through with saline, which I thought they were putting the anaesthetic and stuff in and the sedative in at that point. and they didn't. So I've got both legs tied up into stirrups, and I mean tied up, they were strapped at the ankle, the mid calf, and the knee, so I couldn't move. The sheet was wrapped tightly round my upper body so that my arms didn't. I could relax my arms without the worry they were going to fall off the side of the thing. And this arm was up like this because it had a oxygen monitor on my finger. And then I don't know if you've ever watched some of these medical real life dramas, like over here we've got Call the Midwife. You see if they're going for a cesarean, they have like a blue sheet they put up sort of halfway between your nipples and your waist. They put like a blue sheet up so you can't see what's going on at the other end of the table. So yeah, I was basically tied down while they did this hydroscopy biopsy. So I felt every single bit. I felt them inflating the womb with water. I felt them putting the camera in and jabbing the camera around at various points inside my womb. And I felt them cutting in 6 different places. And it felt like they were clamping, pulling, twisting and cutting. I told the nurses that I was in pain and I could feel it. And they turned round to the doctor at the other end, the surgeon, female. Oh, and not to mention that there were about 8 male medical students behind her as well, watching what was happening to me while I was tied down and incapable of moving and seeing what was going on. And they said, oh, we've got some pain at this end. Yes, well, I'm nearly done now, it's alright, don't worry. And that was when she started cutting. She hadn't started cutting before that point. Now, because of my pain, I've got a high pain threshold anyway. But I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That was some of the worst pain I have ever felt in my life. So I said to the GP, yeah, how about a hydroscopy biopsy without any anaesthetic? Would you class that as traumatising? And the GP just looked at me and went, yeah, that sounds like it could have triggered your fibro. Fibromyalgia seems to be a catch-all term that GPs use when they're not really sure what's causing your pain, but they know that your pain is real. So they call it fibromyalgia because there's no test that can determine that it's fibro. They tested me for all kind of different things. I thought at first my arthritis was spreading. So they tested me for osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory arthritis. They tested me for all kinds of different things, and only by eliminating everything else did they say, well, we can tell you're in pain because obviously, you know, but we don't quite know what's wrong with you, so we're going to call it fibromyalgia. To give you a clue, fibromyalgia, every muscle in your body hurts. It's like you've been beaten up with a baseball bat the day before and you're recovering from that beating, but without actually getting the beating. Deep joy. Question 3. Heat or cold activated? Do you feel you have more energy in warm days or cold days? I live in the UK, which is predominantly quite a mild to cold climate and usually quite a wet climate. With my osteoarthritis, when that was all that was wrong with me, I used to look forward to warm days because warm days were so much easier. Cold or damp or changing weather where it was mild one day, cold the next, then back to mild again. played havoc with my spine. I used to joke my spine was a better judge of the weather than any meteorologist would be. But unfortunately, the fibro is the complete opposite. When it's hot, my fibro is worse. So whereas I used to look forward to the maybe 6 weeks of warm weather we get a year, now, although during those 6 weeks my spinal pain isn't as bad, my fibro jacks the pain up instead. So sadly I don't get any respite at any time of the year, which is challenging. What is your comfort food for the bad days? To be honest, on most bad days I'm in so much pain I find it difficult to eat. I certainly can't stand up and make myself something to eat. I can't even sit on my kitchen stool and make myself something to eat. So I suppose on those occasions I've got a savoury tooth rather than a sweet tooth. So it would probably be something like salted tortilla chips. That's been quite a love of mine on the really bad days recently. Or maybe some cheese. We very often get these. You can get mixed. They're like little tiny squares of different flavoured cheeses, like smoked cheese, blue cheese, double Gloucester, and I'll have a couple of those. Or then when hubby gets in, if I'm in a lot of pain, he'll do me boiled egg and soldiers. So yeah, I guess those are my comfort foods, really. Is there any positive to your struggles? We often concentrate on the pain or lack of energy or brain fog. Is there anything you can think of that's a positive? I suppose this channel. I was working up until 2011 when I got made redundant. And now because I'm on morphine for my pain, which is obviously a controlled drug, employers don't want to take you on. I know there's anti-discriminatory laws in place, but because I'm on a controlled substance, they'd have to declare that to their employers' liability insurers, which means that there'd be so much paperwork involved. Bigger companies don't want the hassle, and the smaller companies just can't afford the increased premium. So here I am, early 40s, effectively on the work scrap heap. But I started this channel partly to give myself a reason to get out of bed in the mornings, because I hate not doing anything. I hate not working. I've worked my entire life until now. I've never not worked. When office jobs were low on the ground, I worked in a factory. I've always worked. My self-esteem and my self-confidence through the floor at the moment because of not working, because I don't feel like I'm a useful member of society. I don't feel like I'm making a contribution. But I started this channel and I've had some awesome feedback. I've had people say that when they're having a panic attack, they'll put one of my videos on because they find my voice so calming. It helps bring them out of their panic attack. And as someone who suffers panic attacks myself, I know how valuable it is to have something that they can just pick their phone up, find one of my videos, play it, and it helps calm them. And that to me is amazing. It's a side effect to my channel I wasn't expecting. My mother-in-law is a foot care nurse. She's been an RGN for a number of years, registered general nurse. and now she's close to retirement. She's actually working for a charity and does foot care for the elderly and infirm. And she's got a lady who comes to her who has only recently started living her life as a lady. Prior to that, she was a gentleman. She's a trans lady. And my mother-in-law told her about my channel, and because my tutorials take you through each step by step, and I kind of hold your hand all the way through, and all the blending's done in real time, she actually made a point of coming in and saying to my mother-in-law how helpful she found the channel, because she's in her 50s, 60s. She does not want to go into a chemist or a shop and ask a 20-year-old shop assistant, can you please give me a makeup lesson? Particularly when she was first living her life as a woman. And my mother-in-law has assured me that her makeup has improved by leaps and bounds, which that's amazing to me. I love the fact that I started this channel to give me a purpose. I didn't expect many people to watch it. I set myself a target of 100 subscribers by this Christmas, and we're now at the beginning of December and I've got 400. That amazes me, and I love every single one of the people who follow me and who watch me and who enjoy the content that I put out. So I guess that's the positive. I'm helping people. I'm helping them not just do their makeup journeys, but I'm helping them when they have panic attacks. I'm helping them relax and helping them sleep just by listening to my voice. So I guess inadvertently my pain is allowing me to help others. That's pretty good. That's I like that. The most important advice you could give a spoonie: don't beat yourself up. Be as kind to you as you would be to somebody else with your condition. Accept that there are going to be days when getting out of bed, getting washed and dressed, and sitting on the sofa is all you can achieve for the day. And if that's all you can achieve, well done, you got out of bed. Well done, you managed to shower. Well done, you managed to put clothes on. Yes, there are going to be days when you can do more. And on those days, don't try and use all your spoons. Because if you live your life with 10 spoons a day and you wake up one day and you've got 17, if you use all 17, the next day you're not going to have 17, you're not even going to have 10. You're probably going to have 4. So be kind to yourself on the bad days, and don't push yourself too far on the good days. Most important advice you would give a family member or loved one of a spoonie: they are as frustrated, if not more so, than you with their illness or their chronic pain that they're dealing with. They hate having to say maybe every time they're invited somewhere, because until that day comes, they don't know if they're going to have the energy to get to the event, because it's not just getting to the event, it's spending time at the event and then getting back home again afterwards. I mean, I recently missed my best mate and my eldest goddaughter's baptism because my pain levels were so bad that day. I couldn't even get out of bed. But they understood, and I went to see them the next day instead, and I apologised, and I gave them the baptism card and gave them both big hugs. But they totally understood, so please don't have a go at someone who's living with chronic pain, because they're doing their best and they're probably kicking themselves harder than you are. And even if they've had to cancel every single time that you've invited them somewhere, please don't leave them off the invite list, please still invite them. A friend of mine, Lydia, was organising her birthday last year, I think it was, and they were going to a nightclub in Maidstone, which has got very little seating, lots of stairs. And although she knew I wouldn't be able to go because I wouldn't be able to do the venue, she still invited me. And that's important. Please don't. Our illness and our pain are isolating enough. Please don't isolate us more by leaving us off the list. But please understand if we do have to cancel. And trust me, we don't want to cancel. We want to go. We want to still live our lives. We still want to go to all these events. And if we've got enough spoons, we'll be there. Just please forgive us if we've run out of spoons that day. What is the one thing you want people to know about your condition? It bloody hurts. It's bloody frustrating. And I hate that I'm 44 years old and I can't just go for a walk with my husband. I live 10 minutes walk from the countryside, and as a kid I used to walk for miles and miles and miles and love it. And I'd love nothing more than just to walk hand in hand with my husband. But all too often it's me with a stick one side and leaning on his arm the other. I hate being in pain. I hate not being able to do things. So please don't judge. Particularly if, certainly in the early days before I used a stick, the osteoarthritis was what they term an invisible disability. Because apart from the fact that I walked quite slowly and couldn't really bend very well, there weren't that many symptoms externally. And the number of times I'd get, particularly old age pensioners, glare at me because I was parked in a disabled spot. Despite the fact I've got a disabled badge and I'm allowed to park there. Not all illnesses and not all pains are visible. So please think before you judge anybody. And the final one is to tag two people. I'm not going to tag people. What I'm going to say is, if you are a spoonie, if you live with chronic pain, if you have a debilitating illness or condition, and you feel strong enough to share your story, then please do so. Consider yourself tagged. If you don't want to do it, then there is absolutely no pressure on you at all. And if you're a spoonie and don't have a YouTube channel, I will list the questions in my description box. If you feel able, please just answer them in my comments below. Right, there we go. That's a little bit more about me that you wouldn't necessarily have known from my makeup tutorials. So I hope you found this interesting. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button for me, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell, and choose all notifications so that you get told every time I upload another one of these videos, which 90% of the time they're going to be makeup. And once you've watched mine, because I have got a lot to watch, you never know, this eye look might even be live. you could go find that tutorial. But once you've watched mine, it'd be awesome if you could go and watch Roxy's video of her answers to these tag questions, and check out my girlies in the beauty YouTuber growth group as well. Right, as ever, my 4F beauties, all that remains for me to say is you'll stay fabulous, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.